All right, today's topic is factoring binomials. So, in the last time we met, we did FOIL, right? And we worked on multiplying binomials, where we went. You had something like two parentheses set up with x plus 2 and then x plus 3, right? And you have to multiply these two terms together. So remember when we did that, if your answer would be x squared plus 5x plus 6. Okay, and that's what the answer you got. Now, if you want to know how to do that, go back and watch the videos I made for that about FOIL. So the last time we went from here to get this as an answer, right? And that's what we wanted to do. But this time, instead of going from there to there, we're going to go backwards and go from here to get that answer, okay? So we're going to start off with a trinomial here, with a term that had with this, whatever square plus a number plus a number. We're going to go from that and back to our two sets of parentheses. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. And it's a pretty simple process of how to do that. And we'll work through that one now. So let's start off with a trinomial. Okay, and let's just say x squared plus 4x plus 4. Okay, so that's what we have to go. So we have to so our answer has to be set up with two parentheses. So what you can do with all these problems is that you're going to end up with two sets of parentheses. You're going to end up with something like that and that, right? That's how we know our answer is going to be. So you can go ahead and set that up as it is right now. Now the second thing we have to do, so now the next thing is we have to fill this out. So we know if we look at our first term here, okay, we have x squared. Okay, there's no number in front, it's just an x squared. So we know just from that our first terms in each of these parentheses are going to have to be an x and an x, right? Because remember, when you FOIL, you multiply the first terms, right? Which is these two here. So you multiply x times x, and you're going to get x squared. Okay, so we know, you see x squared here, start off with two x's here. Okay, now we have to fill out the rest of it. So here's what we need to do. We need to look at our numbers. We have a 4 and a 4. Okay, don't worry about this x here. Okay, worry about our numbers, 4 and 4. Okay, so we have to pick two numbers, okay, to fill in here, right? Two numbers have to go here. So look at your last term, 4. We need to pick two numbers that can be multiplied to get this last number here. So two numbers that multiply to get 4. And those same two numbers have to add or subtract to get our middle term here, which is also 4. So we have to think, what two numbers can we multiply to get 4? Let's just start here first. Okay, start with your multiplying first. What two numbers can you multiply to get 4? Well, you can do 4 times 1, which is 4, or 2 times 2, which is also 4. So let's start with 4 times 1, okay? We know 4 times 1 equals 4. Now take those same two numbers and see if you can add or subtract to get our middle number, which is also 4. So if we do 4 times 1, do 4 and 1, add to 4. Well, 4 plus 1 is 5, so no. Well, what about 4 minus 1? That gives us 3, so no. We need 4, okay? So 4 and 1 doesn't work. It multiplies to 4, yes, but does not add to 4. We need something to add to 4. Well, let's try our other numbers, 2 and 2. Okay, so 2 times 2 equals 4. Yes, that checks out. But does 2 times 2, does 2 plus 2 add to 4? Yes, it does. 2 plus 2 is 4. So look, we have positives here, so we know positive 2 plus 2 does equal 4. And that's our answer. Okay. So, and you can check it, right? If you were to FOIL this, right? X times x, x squared. X times 2, 2x. 2 times x, 2x. 2 times 2, 4. Add to get 2x plus 2x is 4x plus 4, right? So yes, so it checks out, okay? So it checks out, and that's what we want. So that's what we're doing here. This is our ultimate answer right here. And that's what we're going to need to end up with. So that's how we're doing it. And we can do another one to kind of write it all out again. So let's start off. Let's do x squared plus 8x plus 7. Okay. So we know, once again, we look at our front, we need two parentheses. We have x squared in the front. That's what we're starting off with, x and x, okay? Look at your last number. It's 7, okay? So what two numbers multiply to 7 that can also be added to 8? Well, this one's pretty simple because with 7, you can only multiply two numbers to get 7, and that's 7 and 1, right? 7 times 1. Well, 7 times 1 equals 7. Now, if we add it, 7 plus 1 equals 8, and that's what we want. So down here, our numbers are 7 and 1, so you can put a 7 and a 1 with both positive. Okay. Doesn't matter which order you do it in. You can do a 1 here and a 7 here. It doesn't matter because you're going to end up with this answer at the end anyway. Okay. And if we were to FOIL this, x times x, x squared, x times 1, 1x, 7 times x, 7x, 7 times 1 is 7, x squared, bring down or combine your 1 and 7 to get 8x, and then 7 at the end, right? So yes, it checks out. That's what we want, okay? So once again, that's all there is to it, right? Looking at the last number, trying to find two numbers that multiply to this number and add or subtract to this number. Let's do one more kind of thinking, and then we'll go on the next one. So let's do x squared plus 4x minus 12. Okay. So once again, before we do anything, we know two parentheses. Boom, 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 boom. All right. X squared in front, x here, x here. Okay. Now, look at our last number, 12. Okay. Now notice we have a minus in front of it. Okay. And so this is which turns this into a negative 12. Now, before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's just go ahead and just don't even consider that right now. We want 12. Okay. So pick two numbers that multiply to 12. Well, we have some options, right? We can do 12 times 1, right? That equals 12. We can do 4 times 3, and that equals 12. Or we can do 6 times 2, and that equals 12, right? So any of these sets here could go here because they all equal 12, right? So we need to test them out to see if they add or subtract to get a 4. Now, you'll notice that because our 12 here is negative, it has to multiply, these numbers have to multiply to a negative 12. Well, when you multiply numbers, what times what gives you a negative? Well, a positive times a negative, right, gets you a negative, right? So we know that one of these numbers that we multiply has to be a negative in order to get a negative 12. Okay. So we know our answer here, one number has to be a positive and one number has to be a negative. But which one? Okay. So let's start off with the first, 12 and 1, right? We need to get 4 by adding or subtracting. Now look, we already have we know there's a negative involved, so we're going to be subtracting in this one. So if we do 12 and 1, and we subtract that, 12 minus 1, so does 12 minus 1, what does that give us? That gives us 11. We need 4, so no. Okay. What about our next two numbers here, 4 and 3? Okay, so this 4 minus 3, what does that give us? It gives us 1. We need 4, no. Okay, well, what about our last two here? 6 minus 2, that gives us 4. And that's what we want. Now look, our 4 is positive, right? So if our 4 is positive, this gives us a positive 4. Which means when we put our numbers in here, 6 and 2, our 6 is our positive number, and our 2, see how the minus is in front of it? That's going to be our negative number, like that. That's our final answer, x plus 6 and x minus 2. So that's how this one works. Okay. Now, if we did the opposite and we put our 2 in front, minus 6, we get a negative 4. Well, we don't need a negative 4. We need a positive 4. Okay. This gives us negative 4. We need positive. That's why this here doesn't work. This is our answer because this gives us a positive 4 and gives us a positive number and a negative number, which is what we need in our answer. Okay. So that's how this works. Let's do a second video. I'll do a few more examples of this.